The mist draped over Willow Grove Cemetery like a veil, swallowing the gray headstones in a spectral haze. Corporal Daniel Harrow, a sentinel at the memorial vault, paced his 21 steps, his polished boots tapping rhythmically against the granite path. His breath hung in the chill air, visible under the faint glow of the vault's lanterns. At 3 a.m., the cemetery was silent, the world reduced to the cadence of his march. Then, a flicker in the fog. A silhouette. A soldier in a faded uniform, its woolen fabric worn and patched, eyes glinting like embers in the dark. Daniel's pulse quickened, but he kept his stride, his M1 rifle steady on his shoulder. Sentinels don't waver. The figure raised a trembling hand, pointing toward the shadowed rows of graves, then dissolved into the mist. Daniel's chest tightened, the weight of the night pressing closer. No one had warned him that the vault didn't just honor the fallen, it summoned them. And this soldier had a tale Daniel was destined to unravel, ready or not. The autumn air clung heavy over Willow Grove, the fog weaving through the headstones like a restless spirit. At the memorial vault, a monument to unnamed soldiers, the stillness broke only with the sharp click of boots on stone. 21 steps, pause, turn, 21 steps again. Daniel Harrow, a 22-year-old sentinel of the 7th Ceremonial Regiment, moved with mechanical precision, his dark overcoat swaying slightly, his face carved in focus beneath the dim amber lights. 6 months into his duty, he was still adjusting to the vault's solemn weight. Tonight, his first solo watch, the air felt charged, the fog coiling like it had a pulse. Daniel kept his gaze fixed ahead, counting his steps, but a prickle ran down his neck. In his peripheral vision, beyond the iron chains, he glimpsed it. A figure. A soldier in an outdated uniform, grayish-green, like something from a faded photograph. The figure stood rigid, half lost in the haze. Daniel's breath caught, but he didn't falter. Sentinels don't break. At the end of his march, he stole a glance. The figure was gone. Just the fog, he muttered to himself. Just the damn fog. The next night, it returned. Closer, near the vault's edge. Around 3 a.m., the soldier materialized, his uniform clearer now. Tattered chevrons of a corporal. A gaunt face, maybe 20, pale as the granite beneath Daniel's boots. The soldier's eyes met Daniel's, not threatening but desperate, searching for something unspoken. Daniel's heart thudded, his fingers tightening on his rifle. He wanted to shout, to demand answers, but duty locked his voice. A blink, and the figure melted into the mist. By the third night, Daniel was shaken. In the guard post before his shift, he adjusted his cap in a cracked mirror, his hands unsteady. Sergeant Lila Hensley, his squad leader, leaned against the wall, her sharp eyes scanning him. At 34, Lila was a veteran sentinel, her posture unyielding, her voice dry as autumn leaves. "You look spooked, Harrow," she said, arms crossed. Daniel managed a weak grin. "Ever see anything strange out there, Sarge?" Lila's brow arched. "Willow Grove's got whispers. Old sentinels talk of shadows, figures that don't fit. Part of the job. You holding up?" "Yes, ma'am," Daniel replied, too quick. She eyed him, then softened. "The vault's more than stone, kid. You're guarding souls. They've got stories, maybe unfinished ones. Keep it together." Her words lingered as Daniel stepped into the cold, the fog curling around his boots. That night, the soldier appeared again, bolder, standing just beyond the vault's iron chains. Daniel's pulse hammered, but he held his march. 21 steps. Pause. Turn. The figure's eyes bored into him, its hand rising slowly, pointing to a distant cluster of headstones shrouded in fog. Then it vanished, leaving Daniel staring into the dark, his rifle heavy. "What do you need?" he whispered, voice barely a breath. The next morning, he sat in his bunk, scrolling through his tablet, hunting for answers about the vault. The internet offered fragments, The memorial vault held remains from the Great War, the Second World War, Korea, soldiers lost to time, their names buried with them. Thousands rested in Willow Grove, their stories erased. Daniel's eyes caught on an image of a Great War soldier, his uniform matching the specters, his face etched with a haunting sorrow. His stomach knotted. He called his grandmother, Martha Harrow, a retired nurse who'd served in a field hospital during the Vietnam era, now living in a quiet village an hour from the cemetery. Her voice was warm but worn, like old leather. "What's troubling you, Danny?" she asked. He hesitated, then poured out the story. The figure, the pointing, the weight of being watched. "Am I crazy, Gran?" Martha paused. "In 71, in Da Nang, I saw things. Shadows in the wards, soldiers who'd passed, standing at bedsides. War leaves marks, Danny. Willow Grove's full of them. If this soldier's showing himself, he's got something to say. Listen." "Listen to what?" Daniel pressed. "His story," she said. "Find his name. Give him peace." That night, Daniel stepped onto the vault's plaza with new purpose. The fog was thinner, the stars piercing the sky. He marched his 21 steps, and when the soldier appeared, he met its gaze. "I'm here," he said softly. "Show me." The soldier stood still, eyes locked on Daniel's. Then the world blurred. Images flooded in. A rain-soaked trench, the roar of cannons, a young man clutching a crumpled letter, blood staining his uniform. The vision snapped shut, leaving Daniel gasping on the plaza. The soldier pointed again toward the headstones, then faded. Daniel began his search. Between shifts, he dug through Willow Grove's archives, sifting through brittle records and faded logs. He found a note about a Great War soldier, buried as an unknown, a scrap of paper in his pocket. Jasper, Vermont, 20. No surname, no unit, just a boy lost in the Somme. One of the war's bloodiest slaughters. Daniel's chest tightened. "Is that you, Jasper?" he murmured to the empty archive room. During his shifts, he started speaking to the soldier. Protocol be damned. "Hey, Jasper, if that's you. I'm Daniel, from Maine. My mom was a medic, like Gran. I joined to honor her, but some nights I wonder if I'm enough." He paused, waiting. The fog stayed silent, but talking felt right, like stitching a thread to the past. One night, the visions sharpened. Daniel stood at the vault, fog swirling at his ankles, when the soldier, Jasper, stepped onto the plaza. Daniel's heart raced, but he held firm. No words came, but images surged. A Vermont hillside, a father carving wood, a young man scribbling a letter by lantern light. "Dear Pa, I'll be home by spring, don't fret." Then the trench again. Screams, mud, a shell's blast. Jasper's body crumpled, the letter clutched tight, never mailed. Daniel staggered, gripping his rifle. "I saw you," he whispered. "What do I do?" Jasper pointed once more to the headstones, his face softer, almost calm. Daniel knew his next step. The next day, he reached out to Dr. Evelyn Morse, a historian tied to Willow Grove's records. He shared the scrap of paper, the name Jasper. Evelyn, skeptical but intrigued, agreed to dig. After days, she found a thread. Private Jasper Thane, from Brattleboro, Vermont. Missing in 1917. No body claimed, no family told. He was 20. "That's him," Daniel said, voice thick. "I feel it." Evelyn studied him. "How do you know, Daniel?" "I just do," he replied. "Help me honor him." Daniel couldn't let it end with a name. He poured Jasper's story onto paper. The Vermont hillside, the unwritten letter, the trench's chaos. He shared it with Lila, expecting a scoff, but she nodded. "You're doing right by him, Harrow," she said. "The vault's about more than standing watch. It's about carrying their stories." Daniel's resolve hardened. He pitched a plan to his commanding officer, a legacy watch, a project to honor the unnamed across Willow Grove. "We read their fragments," he said. "So they're not just stones." The CO hesitated, but Lila vouched for him. "Give him a shot, sir. It's what the regiment's for." The first ceremony was quiet, held at twilight on a crisp December evening. Daniel stood before the vault. A small crowd of sentinels, veterans, and families gathered under the fading sky. His hands trembled as he held his notes, but his voice was steady. "Private Jasper Thane," he began, "born in Brattleboro, Vermont, 1897. He wanted to be a carpenter. Like his father, he wrote letters promising to come home. He fell in the Somme, October 1917, fighting for a nation he loved. His name was lost, but tonight, we speak it." The crowd stood silent, some brushing away tears. Daniel felt a lightness, like the fog itself had lifted. He glanced toward the headstones, hoping for Jasper's shadow, but the plaza was still. That night, for the first time in weeks, no figure appeared. The legacy watch grew. Other sentinels joined, reading names and scraps of stories at monthly vigils. Daniel and Evelyn uncovered more. Dog tags, half-burned letters, traces of lives. They built a website, uploading the stories for families to find. Schools joined, children reading names in assemblies, leaving candles at graves. A year later, Daniel, now a sergeant, stood at the vault, his badge catching the lantern light. The fog rolled in thick, but he felt no dread. As he marched his 21 steps, a small figure emerged at the plaza's edge. A boy, maybe 11, clutching his mother's hand. The boy stepped forward, placing a single blue flower at the vault's base. Daniel spotted a note tucked in the petals. "Thank you for giving them names." After his shift, he approached the boy and his mother, a woman with tired but proud eyes. "Why the flower?" Daniel asked softly. The boy looked up, his gaze bright. "My uncle was in Korea. Nobody knew his story till you started this. I wanted to thank you." Daniel's throat tightened. He saluted the mother, who nodded back, her hand resting on her son's shoulder. As they left, Daniel turned to the vault, its granite glowing faintly. "Jasper," he whispered. "We're keeping the promise." The next morning, Daniel visited Martha in her village cottage. She sat by a window, a faded photo of her nursing unit on the sill. He told her about the boy, the flower, the legacy watch. Martha's eyes glistened. "You've done well, Danny," she said. "Those souls rest easier now. And you? Did you find your place?" Daniel nodded. "I think so, Gran." She squeezed his hand, her grip firm despite her years. "Your mom's proud, even if she's quiet about it." Daniel drove to his parents' home, stopping at their small orchard. His mother, Clara, was pruning apple trees, her hand steady. He hesitated, then stepped closer. "Ma, can we talk about your time as a medic? About you?" Clara paused, her shears still. After a moment, she set them down. "All right, Danny, let's talk." They sat under the trees, stories unfolding. Clara's nights in field tents, the soldiers she couldn't save, the silence she carried. Daniel shared Jasper's tale, the visions at the vault. For the first time, they spoke as sentinels of memory, bound by duty. Months later, Daniel addressed new recruits, their faces tense with anticipation. He kept it brief, his voice clear. "The vault's not just stone, it's a vow. To the unnamed, their families, us. You'll feel them in the fog, the silence. They're not ghosts, they're kin. Listen, remember, that's what makes us sentinels." A recruit called out, "Sergeant Harrow, you ever see anything out there? Like the stories?" Daniel's lips curved. "Keep watch, Private. You might." That night, his final shift before rotation, the fog was dense, the plaza quiet. He marched his 21 steps, heart steady. At the end, he paused, scanning the headstones. No figure appeared, no visions came, but a warmth settled over him, like a hand on his shoulder. "Thank you, Jasper," he whispered. "Rest well, brother." He turned, boots echoing. 21 steps. Pause. Turn. The vault stood eternal, and so did he. This is the tale of a sentinel and a lost soldier, of foggy nights at Willow Grove, of whispers weaving past to present. At the memorial vault, every step is a promise. The truest tribute is to speak their names, to carry their stories. Pause today. Think of Daniel, of Jasper, of countless souls resting in silence. Share their tale, not just to honor them, but to remind us that remembrance is duty's heart. If you visit Willow Grove,